Giancana's greatest strength was not his violent nature, but his gift for making money.
Imagine living a life where loyalty and betrayal go hand in hand, where power is gained through fear, and where life is cheap. This is the brutal world of the Mafia. Behind every shadowy deal, every whispered conversation, and every deadly confrontation, there lies a history filled with violence, treachery, and untold secrets. Today, we'll uncover some of the most shocking true crime stories from the underworld, revealing the dark side of organized crime that's both fascinating and terrifying. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear may just change the way you think about the Mafia forever. The rise of the Sicilian Mafia. The Sicilian Mafia, also known as Cosa Nostra, traces its roots to the early 19th century, emerging in a time of political and social upheaval in Sicily. During this period, the island was under foreign rule, first by the Spanish and later by the Bourbons, leaving a power vacuum that local criminals were quick to exploit. The Mafia began as a loose network of small clandestine groups that provided protection and services to local farmers and landowners in exchange for payment. Initially, they were seen as a necessary evil, acting as a buffer between the oppressive ruling powers and the vulnerable population. However, as the Mafia's influence grew, they transitioned from providing services to dominating the island's criminal activities, including extortion, smuggling, and theft, which set the stage for their rise to power. By the early 20th century, the Sicilian Mafia had solidified its control over much of Sicily, with its power extending into major Italian cities and even abroad. Their stronghold in Sicily allowed them to operate with relative impunity, especially as they maintained relationships with corrupt politicians and businessmen who turned a blind eye to their illicit operations. The Mafia's tentacles reached beyond just Sicily, as their influence spread to major U.S. cities like New York, where Italian immigrants brought the Mafia's methods with them. This international expansion marked the beginning of the Mafia as a global crime syndicate, influencing organized crime in multiple countries and leaving a lasting legacy in the criminal underworld. The Mafia's rise from local protectors to ruthless criminals shows how power can be built on the foundations of fear, secrecy, and manipulation. The murder of Paul Castellano. The murder of Paul Castellano in 1985 is one of the most notorious events in Mafia history, highlighting the deadly power struggles that often occur within these criminal organizations. Castellano was the head of the Gambino crime family, one of the most powerful Mafia families in New York. His leadership, however, was controversial and strained relationships within his own ranks. John Gotti, his underboss, became increasingly frustrated with Castellano's leadership style, which he felt was too removed from the daily operations of the family. Gotti, who had a more hands-on approach, was eager to take control of the family and believed that Castellano was an obstacle to his ambitions. The tension between the two men culminated in the shocking murder of Castellano, who was gunned down outside the Spark Steakhouse in Manhattan in December 1985. The hit was planned and executed by members of the Gambino family, with Gotti orchestrating the whole event. Castellano's murder was a brazen act of violence that sent shockwaves through the Mafia world. His assassination, carried out in broad daylight, not only eliminated a powerful figure, but also marked a shift in how Mafia leadership was handled. John Gotti, who masterminded the hit, rose to power and became the new boss of the Gambino family. Gotti's leadership, however, was marked by his ability to avoid conviction in several high-profile trials, earning him the nickname the Teflon Don. The murder of Castellano is a reminder of the treacherous nature of Mafia politics, where loyalty is often tested and betrayal is a common way to rise through the ranks. This event also illustrated how the Mafia's code of silence, omerta, could be maintained even when it came to eliminating high-ranking members of the family. The Mafia's grip on labor unions. One of the Mafia's most profitable and influential ventures was its control over labor unions in the 20th century, particularly in industries like construction, trucking, and dock work. By infiltrating these unions, Mafia families were able to exert significant power, controlling large portions of the workforce and manipulating economic activities. Union leaders who were sympathetic to or outright part of the Mafia would demand kickbacks from employers, siphon union funds, and use their influence to manipulate contracts and wages. This control allowed the Mafia to generate huge profits through extortion and fraud, while also maintaining power over key sectors of the economy. By the mid-20th century, the Mafia's involvement in labor unions was so pervasive that it became one of the most critical sources of their wealth and influence, with leaders able to use these positions to launder money and secure additional criminal operations. The Mafia's hold over labor unions was not just a matter of financial control. It also extended to political power. With their grip on unions, Mafia families were able to secure favorable treatment from politicians who relied on the support of these powerful organizations. Through bribery, blackmail, and threats, the Mafia ensured that key figures in politics and law enforcement turned a blind eye to their operations. This corrupt system contributed to the widespread exploitation of workers, who were often caught between the Mafia's extortion demands and the legal systems that failed to protect them. The infiltration of unions by the Mafia also made it difficult for legitimate workers' rights groups to flourish, as the criminal syndicates maintained control through violence and fear. Ultimately, the Mafia's involvement in unions became one of the most enduring aspects of their criminal empire, shaping the landscape of labor relations and organized crime for decades. The fall of John Gotti. John Gotti, one of the most infamous Mafia bosses in history, rose to power within the Gambino crime family after orchestrating the murder of his predecessor, Paul Castellano. Gotti's leadership marked a new era for the Gambino family, characterized by his public persona and his ability to avoid conviction despite numerous criminal charges. Known as the Teflon Don for his ability to slip through the legal system, Gotti evaded conviction in high-profile trials by intimidating witnesses and bribing key figures. His charm and confidence made him a beloved figure among Mafia associates and the public, and he became a symbol of Mafia power in the 1980s. However, his criminal empire was built on shaky ground, and his downfall came when his own underboss, Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, turned state's witness against him. Gravano's testimony was crucial in securing Gotti's conviction on charges of murder, racketeering, and other crimes. Gotti's conviction in 1992 marked the end of his reign as the head of the Gambino family and symbolized the weakening of the traditional Mafia structure in the face of growing law enforcement pressure. Despite Gotti's earlier success in evading justice, his downfall highlighted the limits of his power. The cooperation of insiders like Gravano demonstrated the cracks within the Mafia's code of silence, omerta, as fear and betrayal began to erode the once unbreakable loyalty among Mafia members. Gotti's arrest, trial, and eventual sentencing showed that even the most untouchable criminals were not immune to the long arm of the law. His fall from grace was a significant turning point in the history of organized crime, marking the decline of the Mafia's once dominant influence over the criminal underworld. And that's a wrap on today's journey into the dark and fascinating world of the Mafia. From its rise in Sicily to the ruthless power struggles, betrayals, and downfalls of legendary bosses like John Gotti, the stories of the Mafia are as captivating as they are chilling. These true crime tales remind us of the immense power and dangerous consequences that come with living outside the law. If you found these stories intriguing, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone interested in the Mafia's bloody history. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or other Mafia stories you'd like us to explore. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.